Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program that gets you inside NRG Stadium. It's Texans All Access. Mark Vandermeer and John Harris with you tonight. And in the program tonight, you're going to hear from a number of Texans players, including but not limited to Charlie Heck and Brandon Dunn. They'll be with us later. But right now, Johnny, let's do this. A lot of stuff to catch up on as it's game week. You know, that's what I love about the first preseason game hitting. We're in game week every week. I know we're going to have the bye Labor Day weekend, but we'll get over that because you'll have a ton of college football and the Texas kickoff to sink your teeth into with the Cougs and the Red Raiders going at it on September 4th. Tickets available, Ticketmaster. So check that out. But are you ready, my friend? I got some things to throw at you, some gut reaction stuff.
Oh, okay? Yeah. We got a lot of stuff to go through. Yes.
I wanted to begin here because after seeing the Texans play on Saturday and all the stuff we talked about all offseason and all during our training camp shows, I think that the running back picture, and by the way, with Dontrell Hilliard no longer part of the team, the running back picture is as clear as mud. It is still hard for me to really decipher how they're going to do it. I know you have the big names. You have Ingram. You have Lindsey. I get it. Lindsey was the starter, if you will, on Saturday. Ingram didn't play. But, Johnny, the performance of Darius Jackson, the performance of Scotty Phillips, knowing you have Rex Burkhead on the team and he has yet to play, what do you make? What's your gut reaction on the running back picture of the Houston Texans?
When you started talking, you hit right on that phrase. I literally was thinking the same thing, clear as mud, because I don't know that there's been much clarity. Mm-hmm. On Saturday night, Mark Ingram and Rex Burkhead didn't play. You had Phillip Lindsay, who I think carried it every time there was not a pass on that first drive, minus David Johnson getting a carry. And David Johnson didn't play much. And so it was Scotty Phillips, Darius Jackson, and Buddy Howell. And Buddy has been on this team, I don't want to say in large part because of special teams, but in large part because he is good on special teams. When he finally got an opportunity to show what he could do starting in that Bears game last year, you're like, hey, you know, Buddy's got a little something here. But in this group of running backs, it's a little different because as good as Buddy has been, and he had a couple of nice runs the other night against the Packers, it feels like he's behind the crew ahead of him. So I don't know how you really kind of sift through, but there are 2 preseason games left for everybody, right?
Yeah.
There will be injuries throughout the league. Whether they happen, no, I'm not. I mean, I don't want it to happen for us.
Oh, I see where you're going. Go ahead.
But there may be injuries elsewhere where a team goes, hey, man, who's got what I'm looking for? Who's got something I'm looking for? And I think that's what kind of the Giants felt the other day in making a deal with the Texans with Nick Caserio for Keon Crossan. Keon going to the Giants. The Giants really needed some defensive back help, and they needed some special teams help. And the Texans through the offseason, if you look at the signings, although I think, you know, a guy like Kamu Grugier-Hill has been fantastic on defense, he's really good on special teams. Joe Thomas, as they call him, Old Man Joe. It was interesting to listen to linebackers today at practice, kind of standing next to him, talking about, you know, Joe Thomas. There are a lot of guys they brought on that have special teams in their background. So you sort of had, I want to say, a surplus, but you had more guys so that you could say, okay, what about now? Let's factor in defensive back. Well, you know, Tremont Smith is maybe a little bit better than we thought. You know, John Reed's having a little bit better camp than we thought. Vernon Hargrave, same thing. So, okay, we can afford to do this because there's a little bit of a surplus. Let's see if we can't get something back for that. I think it's the same thing with the running backs. Look, you're not going to get a first rounder for, I don't know, Scotty Phillips. You're not going to do that. But there's going to be a team that feels like it's in the mix. They have a running back that goes down, and all of a sudden they're like, oh boy, what do we do? And now they get a little bit desperate, and now all of a sudden you get a player that may not make your roster, and you get a draft pick coming back, you know, a 5th or a 6th or whatever. I mean, that's what you end up getting. Now, I do think Keon would have been in line to make the team.
Yeah.
But you still got a 6th rounder back for him. So I think it's a good value. And I think that's the way to kind of look at these running backs is from that perspective. There are going to be some injuries that happen and occur. And there's going to be a team that the Rams already lost Cam Akers. So I'm just using them as an example. If something else happens to one of their running backs, are the Rams going to come calling and go, yo, we need somebody.
Yep.
We need a back. And hey, can we make a deal? Can we do a deal? And I don't know which back it would be for, but at that point, when somebody calls you and said, hey, we need this, you got them. Yep. So I'm not going to say fleece them, but make a deal. And that happened to Kari Lee, the Hard Knocks year. Kari Lee at tight end, rookie tight end. He was an undrafted guy, and he was having a good camp. Saw him in Hard Knocks. The Bears had a couple injuries. They called up and said, hey, we'll give you a draft pick for a guy who was undrafted. You take that all day, every day. So that, to me, is the way I look at the running back position. Now, once it all kind of works itself out, I'm still of the mindset 4 running backs are going to make it, because if Rex Burkhead is one of them, he can play special teams. If Buddy Howell is one of them, he can play special teams. Scotty Phillips can play special teams. I'm not saying those guys are going to make it, but I'm just saying those guys provide, as you like to say, a little lagniappe, a little extra, because they play in special teams. So you can feel okay with, all right, maybe you're not getting running back reps, but you get some on special teams. So that's the way I look at it, is you've got some really good assets that are going to help you in 2021. If something hopefully doesn't happen, you running backs. I mean, you remember last time we went to Dallas and played the Cowboys in the preseason.
Oh, I remember it well.
Gut punch. And now, what did it do? It forced the Texans to go out and make a deal, bring back Carlos Hyde. Carlos had a 1,000-yard season in 2019. So it turned out okay, but that's what's going to happen for some team. They're going to have to, there's going to be an injury, and they're going to look up and go, we need a back. Who's got, hey, the Texans have got a few backs. Let's go see if we can get one of those guys from them. And then you pick up some picks, maybe for a guy who wasn't going to make the team, and away you go.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. The Texans traded for Carlos Hyde that preseason, right?
Yes.
So somebody might trade for one of their backs, because you do have a surplus here. There's no doubt. You can't keep everybody, and they all seem to be doing pretty well. I called Buddy Howell Mr. August, and I didn't mean it as an insult, but he gets his carries in the preseason, the bulk of them. And man, when he's out there in these preseason games, he looks like the real deal. He's knocking people over. He runs angry. Kind of reminds me of a Brandon Jacobs sort of player, just physical, big, just knocking people over, paying the price, making them pay the price. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be an ongoing subject. You brought up the Keon trade. And you also brought up John Reed, and maybe one has something to do with the other. Maybe it doesn't, but I really felt like John Reed making a couple of plays on Saturday night certainly helped the Reed family cause, but maybe that factored into the decision. All right, we can go ahead and make this move because a guy like that, and maybe some others, obviously, Tremont Smith, like you brought up, are performing well. That will continue to take shape over the next couple of games, but I'm not going to say the Keon Crossan trade is a shocker and Sports Center highlight and all of that. It's going to lead off all the national sports shows and be a talking point with Stephen A. Smith. It's not. But for us, it was notable because he was a pillar guy, I thought, for them. Yeah. And now they trade him. But it does speak to the fact that, this is apparent. They feel like they've got some bodies. They got some depth in the defensive backfield and guys who play special teams that can help them out. No doubt. And look, Keon was traded, for a 6th or 7th back in 2019. Yep. He gave him 2 excellent years as an elite special teamer. And then the last 3-4 games of last year, getting some time at corner. He was just, you're right. He was such a great guy to have around. He always had a smile. There's energy and there was juice. And I know some people are like, whoa, what are you trading him for then? Well, look, it's a business. It's a business of supply and demand. And the Giants were in the demand category, and the Texans had the supply. And I think you're right. John Reed making a couple of coverage plays. Vernon Hargraves having a pretty good camp. Yep. I think that helped. I think Terrence Mitchell coming over and having what they expected for him to step in. And I don't know if Terrence becomes a starter or not. My gut tells me that he would be, but also seeing Tremont Smith the other night and seeing him in game action, I think, and I've said this before, I covered Tremont back when he was at Central Arkansas. I've always been a fan of his.
because of his speed, because of his ball skills. And he's just never stuck anywhere. And maybe this is the place with some opportunity that he ends up sticking. But those guys playing well Saturday, maybe it gave rise to, hey, let's sit down and talk about this. Joe Judge called us and is looking for somebody. And hey, can we afford to do it? Yeah, okay, let's go for it and see where it puts us. And you make the deal and you move on. And that's the other thing, Mark. You've got 85 guys in the roster now. So there are guys that you might be able to spin into something that we've talked about this a little bit. What you can do with a guy, you might just, instead of just cutting a guy or releasing a guy, waving a guy, hey, can you get something for that guy? Is there a team that might be interested? And if you squeeze a couple 3 draft picks out of people that say, hey, we want your running back, or we want this guy before he gets the waivers because somebody else will claim him, hey, you get a couple of draft picks out of players that you were going to cut anyways. That's a complete and total win.
Yep, absolutely a victory. All right, so Coach David Culley, we heard from him all offseason long, totally positive. People love his personality around the building. He just lights up the room, lights up the hallway. Culley press conferences lately, it's not like he's salty, Johnny, not at all. I think people are a little bit surprised. Wait a minute, he's talking such serious football stuff. Yeah, no kidding. He's been coaching in this league since the beginning of time. He coached with Sam Weish. He coached with Bill Cowher. All right, that's not quite the beginning of time, but you get my drift. That Culley, people should not be surprised of Culley's gravitas here as a coach. Now, this is his first head coaching gig. And yes, he's not exactly a young man getting his first head coaching gig. He's not Sean McVay. He's twice Sean McVay's age. However, he has the intensity and he still has that really great disposition. I'm enjoying this so far. And I know we're only one preseason game in, but what do you make of it so far?
I saw him today in the service level.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because I saw him and I just, when I see guys that have done an interview with me after the game, I try and make a point, or even, before the game. I saw Nick yesterday walking out and I just was like, hey, I really appreciate spending a couple minutes with me before the game. I try and thank those guys. I do it on the spot, but I try and do it later too.
Yep. So
I saw Coach Culley and I just walked over. I said, Coach, I really appreciate, spending just a short amount of time with you at halftime and after the game. I really appreciate it. He was so, gracious. He's like, oh, John, absolutely. Anytime. I mean, I can appreciate that, so much because I know it is tough. You're going in for halftime and, some knucklehead sticks a phone in front of your face and, hey, Coach, what happened on the interception? And I didn't even ask him that. He kind of took it in that direction. But point being, as I'm talking to him, I can feel a little bit of steam coming out of his ears. I can feel it.
Yeah, he
was not happy.
Yeah, he wants execution.
He was not happy.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Narratives get started, and people have a hard time unless that narrative gets shattered. And I think Coach shattered it Saturday night again in the practice in which they had some false starts. That's when everybody was like, whoa, wait, he's just like every other coach that gets mad about what his team is doing? Yeah, imagine that. So, yeah, just because you're positive. I mean, I like to think I'm a pretty positive guy, but I could deliver a donkey barbecue if I had to.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a pretty positive guy overall. Now, I wore my emotions on my sleeve, so you kind of knew what I was feeling, which is no surprise. But, with Coach, the narrative was, oh, he's so positive. And the underlying comment was what? Well, if he's so positive, is he going to be able to chastise them for mistakes? Is he going to be able to do some of those things? Well, I think he's proven that. He's a football coach. He's a ball coach. He's a leader of men. And I think that's what we're seeing. And when you lead people, when you lead a group of people like this, lead a group of alphas, 90 of them or 85 of them now, and then the coaches and everybody else, you got to have that in you. And I think he definitely has shown that he has it in him for sure.
Yeah, I think that, and it's hard to convey this to the listeners and maybe those who have watched on TV or whatever, you've seen the sound bites. And I don't know if they feel this way, but I do, being around him. I can understand how you'd want to run through a wall for that guy. There's no question.
Absolutely.
So I feel that, and I think they do too. We'll see where it goes from here. You're only through one game of the preseason. So again, you got a lot of water to go under the bridge. All right. On Saturday night, the Texans take on the Cowboys. A week later will be the preseason home game, the only preseason home game on August 28th. By the way, some tickets still available for that game. Go to HoustonTexans.com to get into NRG Stadium and be part of the activity. Now, Bruce Arians said starters won't play this weekend for the Bucs, but that final preseason game, he expects to play starters. Rock and roll. You know what that means. 12 will play at NRG, according to Coach Arians. Now he could change his mind between now and then. So this is kind of like one of those scheduled to appear announcements. Tom Brady scheduled to play. That would be awesome to see Brady for a series or two. Great work for your defense. Great for the fans at NRG. Last time we saw him here was 2 years ago, and the Texans beat the New England Patriots, Johnny.
Yeah, that's right. TB12. You lost the last time you were at NRG Stadium. I loved seeing that. I think that was tremendous news. And I think it's probably good of Bruce Arians to get his guys out there for a little bit. And it's going to be a heck of a test. I don't know at that point how many Texans that Coach Culley will want to play that night. My guess is, hey, if the Bucs are trotting out starters, we're going to trot out starters for at least a little bit. Communicate it amongst both coaches. Try and match up 1s-on-1s, 2s-on-2s, 3s-on-3s as much as you can. I think it's going to be great work to see a group that really got kind of in sync. Now, it would have been better to catch them last year because they really weren't in sync early in the year. Now that they are, you're going to see a finely tuned machine. I think that's going to be good for both sides of the ball, to be honest with you, and see what the Bucs, the world champs, look like. So that's great news to see them coming in. I know some people are like, wait, great news. You're going to see Tom Brady. Heck yeah. I mean, it's the best thing that could happen. He's one of the top quarterbacks still in this league. He's got a ton of weapons. So your defense gets tested. The defense on the other side for the Bucs is as good as anything we've seen. So you get an opportunity for this offense to do some things. So, match up for the first half of the first quarter, or the first 3 quarters of the first quarter, and kind of see where you are. Because look, you've got a bye week essentially the next week, and then you play September 12th against the Jags. So not saying you're going to go, balls to the wall against the Bucs, but give your starters, go as long as their starters go. And see where that puts you, and hopefully it'll be a good test for you at that point.
Well, you're going to go, if that's the case, and you play your starting defense or the bulk of it, you're going to go from Tom Brady to 2 weeks later, Trevor Lawrence. So I think it's a great test for you, not to take anything away from Trevor Lawrence's ability, but you're going from the greatest of all time against a rookie to a rookie in your home opener in the regular season. Now, along those lines here, Tim Tebow cut by the Jags. Gut reaction, Johnny.
Yeah. All
right.
I mean,
come on. You're contractually obligated to comment on Tebow and make it a headline. Well, you don't have to make it a headline.
No, I know. By the way, Trevor Lawrence was not even a year old when Tom Brady got into the league in 2000.
Either was by the way. Yeah.
So that's interesting. There are a bunch of things. There was one I came up with I saw the other day about. It was watching the other day at the game. I don't know if you ended up. We talked about this a little bit. Amari Rodgers, plays receiver for the Green Bay Packers. His dad is T. Martin. T. Martin was a quarterback at Tennessee who was drafted in the same draft as Tom Brady. So kind of weird that it all comes full circle.
Well, plus, T. Martin won the national championship.
Yes.
A year after Manning left. Everyone thought that, you got to win it with Manning, and there's no way you're not going to win it with Manning. But they did win it without Manning against Florida State, who didn't have Chris Winkie in the game.
Yes.
When they played for the championship. So
Marcus Outson. I don't know why that name sticks with me, but
Outson,
it just does.
They had Outson, and he wasn't as good. And then Winkie came back, obviously, the following year, Heisman Trophy, and the rest is history. Yeah.
Number one all the way, Peter Warrick. That's one of my favorite years, 1999, because of all the different things that happened. And that was the year Trevor Lawrence was born. Tim Tebow, I'm not we talked about it. I said, I don't know there's going to be much of a chance to try and be a tight end in this league. I mean, you look around the league and you look at the tight ends, just look at our tight ends.
Right.
And think about what our guys do at tight end. By the way, Pharaoh Brown is a dude. I'm right now. He's a dude. and if Jordan Akins can get back healthy. But Brevin Jordan is taking strides every single day. Man, these tight ends are really, really good. And I think about Tebow trying to kind of crack our I mean, it would take him one day to go, nope, move on. So he got one game. It's an experiment, and you move on.
Yeah, look, Tebow, good for him. Gave it a shot. I like that about him, by the way. Now, you could criticize the Jags for giving him a chance if you want, but I understood it, and I think it created more excitement in this year where they're going to need it. I don't think they're that good. All right. They'll get better. They should. And if they don't, well, you drafted the wrong guy maybe, or maybe you have the wrong coach. I don't know. But one thing I like about Urban Meyer is that he hired a lot of NFL guys. I like it and I don't like it. Part of me wants to see complete, utter mindset shift and go to this college crazy scheme, both sides of the ball, whatever. But he hired a lot of NFL established guys on both sides of the ball to help usher in him as an NFL head coach. So we'll see how that goes for Urban Meyer. All right, so Hard Knocks tonight. Dallas Cowboys. And on Saturday night, Texans take on the Cowboys. So you will see some Texans action, if you will, on next week's Hard Knocks. I don't know what they're going to use. A lot of it has to depend on how the game goes against the Cowboys and Big D. But I think it's kind of cool that the Texans will be on the other end of this thing. And we'll see how, if the Texans perform really well, you'll see all the horribleness of what's going on the Dallas sideline and shots of the booth with Jerry and Steven, and they're freaking out. And I can't wait, Johnny. It's going to be great. Have a great night, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark.
All right, coming up, Brandon Dunn. You'll hear from him, Charlie Heck, and others as we continue here on Texans All Access. It's Texans Radio. Mark Vandermeer keeping you company Tuesday evening. Hey, when we get to the regular season, this will be the time slot for the Texans Players Show presented by Fuddruckers. Now, we're not going to be out at Fuddruckers this year. We love Fuddruckers, but it's just not a good year for us to be out with the crowd and everybody just hugging and kissing. Okay, we don't really hug and kiss at the Fuddruckers Texans Players Show, but you know, it's kind of close quarters. We're going to spread out a little bit, do the show from the studio, presented by Fuddruckers, lots of giveaways. Stay tuned for more information, all your favorite Texans players, and you get to hear from them right here. And as I say that, you're thinking, favorite Texans players? I do have some, but I'm just getting to know these guys. Yeah, we are too, and they're wonderful to get to know. Guys like, in his second year, Charlie Heck played a bunch on Saturday night at right tackle. Drew Doherty caught up with him for a Drew's Dozen.
Charlie Heck, offensive lineman for the Houston Texans, joining me now here for a Drew's Dozen. If you're in goal as a soccer goalkeeper and Justin Reed is coming at you with the ball on a breakaway, how are you stopping a shot?
I'm getting as big as I possibly can. I'm honestly taking a guess at which corner he's going.
He was pretty good as a soccer player. You were a soccer player until about middle way of high school, right?
Yeah, I played soccer all the way up until my sophomore year of high school. I actually won a state championship in Florida. So that was kind of my first passion until I was allowed to really start getting into football.
And it's one of the things probably that helped you out with some of your footwork as an offensive lineman, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it was huge for me. I mean, I was definitely a little smaller guy back then. Wasn't this big playing soccer, but it definitely helped.
Smaller guy in what terms? Because I'm looking up at you. Yeah. You're a big guy. How small were you really, though?
So I was always tall. So junior year of high school, I was 6'7", but I was 195. So 100 pounds less than I am right now.
6'7", 195. So just a bunch of broomsticks jingle jangling around?
Yep.
All right, let's talk some football and not talk about broomsticks jingle jang. You've had a really good camp. You had a really good end to the season. You learned a lot, I'm guessing, sitting and watching last year. But what's different about you? I mean, how come you've been, knock on wood, so successful this early on?
Getting into those last games at the end of the year, that was big for me because I was able to kind of build confidence going into the offseason because I told myself that I could play in this league. And, that was huge for me, then just diving into the weight room, getting stronger, getting builder, and carrying that confidence with me into camp.
Yeah, we hear about guys saying, well, I got into the weight room and I did this. But, what did you really have to improve and get better at in that regard?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so because I'm a longer guy, I think I can always add more lean mass. And when you add lean mass, I feel quicker, stronger, not necessarily gaining that much weight, but gaining better weight, cutting out some baby fluff. And then you feel good, you play better.
I don't want to use COVID and the pandemic as an excuse, but being able to be in the building, being able to get through and go through a lot of the stuff you've done this year, how much more beneficial has it been maybe as opposed to what you went through as a rookie?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, being a rookie last year was like nothing I'd ever experienced. You know, my first time getting out there was the first training camp practice last year. So this offseason I said I'm going to take full advantage of it. You know, was in here as much as I could. Like I said, took full advantage of it. It was a new staff coming in, so I wanted to learn the offense, meet the players, be in here as much as I could.
And I'm guessing it was cool getting to know the new offensive line coach in James Campen because he's got some different ideas and different ways of teaching, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Camp's been awesome. I mean, he's played in this league. He's been a line coach for a long time, and he really gets what we're going through out here. And it's been interesting to see how he's been working with different players along the way, kind of tweaking different things for them.
All right, let's rank the Charlies. Charlie Heck, Charlie Sheen, Charlie Brown, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and call sign Charlie, the lady from Top Gun.
I'm going Charlie Heck, call sign, Charlie Brown, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie Sheen.
So you're a big Top Gun fan?
I like Top Gun.
So are you a big volleyball fan? You play shirtless with the guys in the sand all the time?
No, I haven't gotten into that too much yet.
It's probably good. It's probably for the better. What was it like having a big brother who was also a really good athlete? He's now a strength and conditioning coach. What was it like having him around?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, he was who I really looked up to because he was 2 years ahead of me at Carolina. That's kind of the reason why I wanted to go play at Carolina, was to be his teammate. And then when I was with him, we really became closer friends. And then the last 2 years, he was my strength coach there. So that was pretty special.
Did you, growing up, bicker, fight, argue like normally, like brothers do?
You know, I think I nagged him a lot. I don't think I was very successful in any of the fights. He was always a little bit bigger than I was. But no, he was my best friend growing up.
Perfect meal is?
I'm a big breakfast guy. Pancakes. Oh, yeah, from IHOP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's end the interview on pancakes because this guy, hopefully you're going to get a lot of pancakes this year on the field. See what I did there. And Charlie Heck, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck this season and beyond.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
There's Drew with Charlie Heck. Now, in the next segment, we'll hear from Brandon Dunn. Deepy Sidhu will catch up with him. But here is Deepy with the defensive lineman who's been turning heads at camp and throughout the offseason. That would be one Jordan Jenkins. So let's get to know Jordan Jenkins a little bit better.
It's the Deep Slant One-on-One presented by Xfinity. My guest today, Jordan Jenkins. We're inside the bubble. Jordan, I know you've been going against the same guys over and over again in camp, but how was it to get some real live game action in the preseason?
I mean, it was pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. I was juiced up out there. A lot of the guys, like everyone, was happy to go at somebody else. And honestly, a lot of the guys were hurt last year. Their seasons finished early, like me and a couple others. We were just happy to be out there having fun on a historic field. And like you saw it on defense and even off, everyone was out there cheering, running on the field, happy for one another. Like the team camaraderie here is it's on point.
Well, as far as one-on-one battles go, Jordan Aiken said that you're one of the toughest guys that he's had to go against in camp. That you got to watch out when you're coming at him. You know, how have you felt about these battles in camp? How hungry have you been? Because I know you did end last year on an injury, but you know, what's it been like for you to get back out there, and how do you feel?
You know, I'm feeling pretty healthy. You know, I'm getting back right, knocking the rust off still, and I just want guys to know I'm gonna bring it every play, and I'm out there competing with everybody else. You know, it's I couldn't remember the right saying, but I'm just out there trying to work. I had something great there.
It was really good.
It was really good. I promise you. It just slipped my mind. The thunder shocked me.
Well, it's the defensive linemen. I was watching them warm up a little bit and do some drills. It seems like you guys are having a lot of fun together. You know, what is that like in the room? What's the chemistry like? It's such a talented group of guys, and it seems like you guys are all very versatile with a lot of different experience levels.
Honestly, I think it's that and the level of respect that each guy has for one another in there. Like they know, like there's no camp bodies. Like everyone in that position room are quality guys, good guys, and they know it's a competition through and throughout. And we embrace it, and we embrace one another, and we don't let all like the petty rivalries, anything like that, go along. We just compete with one another, talk a little trash, and just get along with each other afterwards, and we just keep it moving.
You guys do look like you're having a lot of fun. What about for yourself and Lovie Smith's defense? I mean, how much fun is it to play in this scheme? And have you ever played in a scheme that's similar to it? I know you were with the Jets for the rest of your career, but have you been in a scheme like this before? How similar, how different is it to what you've played in the past?
This defense, honestly, there's a lot more freedoms up front than I've been a part with in the past. And, I mean, it's only like people talk about the whole 3-4, 4-3 thing. But people forget that, I mean, last season when I was with the Jets and season before that, we played more 4-3 than 3-4 anyway. So, I mean, half the time when they see somebody standing up, they say, oh, he's a 3-4 guy. See somebody in the three-point stance, oh, he's a 4-3 guy. I mean, positions are interchangeable, but this is like a big attacking style, like get after it and just bulldoze two people kind of defense.
So what do you bring to this defensive line group? I know you had some pretty impressive stats during your time with the Jets when you were healthy. What do you hope to bring to this group this year?
Man, I just hope I can just bring that same energy back and capitalize on all my opportunities out there and just be as impactful as I can be.
All right, and then I know you've got a lot of family here in Houston. So have they been able to come out to camp so far? What are their plans for coming out with games? And how much have you been able to see them? I know camp is kind of a crazy time, but have you been able to see much family so far?
I actually did. I had to run home and grab some dress clothes I left at the house. And like my parents live out in Richmond, so I sped home after one of the days we got down early, ate dinner with them, grabbed my suit, left, and got on the plane ready to head out. But I mean, it's gonna be a great year, you know. Family's gonna try and come out. I think we've got 30 people coming to the first game, and all my family's gonna try and make it out. And my uncle Malik, rest in peace, he passed away last week. He was one of my favorite supporters, loved him to death, and he would have been at every single one of them if he could.
All right, well, hopefully he's watching from somewhere really nice. And you know what? We'll be looking for the Jordan Jenkins cheering section at every single game. Jordan, pleasure to finally chat with you, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jordan Jenkins with DP Sidhu. Now, DP's going to be back in the next segment as she catches up with DJ Dunny. Brandon Dunn, who will undoubtedly be on that Fuddruckers Texans Players Show this year. And he was mic'd up today, so I can't wait to see that video. Also, we'll have Taywan Taylor, wide receiver, trying to make an impression. I caught up with him. That's all coming up here on Texans Radio. It's Texans Radio, and I have a confession to make. I lied. No, I didn't really lie, but it's kind of a bait-and-switch thing because I actually have DP who caught up with Charles Amenahu, not Brandon Dunn. No, I don't get those guys confused at all because DJ Dunny is the DJ of the clubhouse, and I caught up with him a week and a half ago myself, and you heard that interview here on Texans Radio. But I am curious about Charles, the Longhorn. How's it going in year 3? Because this is a big season for him. It is for everybody, isn't it? But here's DP Sidhu with Charles Amenahu.
It's a Deep Slant 101 presented by Xfinity. My guest today, year 3 defensive lineman, Charles Amenahu. First of all, Charles, so many people talk about this new scheme and what it's like making the transition, but how about for yourself? I mean, you're still a defensive lineman, but how different is it for you this time around?
I mean, it's obviously just a different scheme, different terminology, different way of looking at how you play D-line in a sense. But for me, I kind of played in a scheme similar like this in college, so it's not really too crazy. Just where I'm positioned at a little different, playing over tight ends and tackles in the run game, and then rushing inside at 3-tech, which I did last year. So it's a little change, but it's good. I like it. Definitely a D-line friendly scheme that just tells the guys to go get it, go after it.
Lovie Smith said that you're a guy that he gets asked about a lot, and he said that you are one of the guys that he tabs as position flexible players. You move around a lot on the line. What's the skill set that's sort of required to do that, and how much do you enjoy being able to move around like that?
I think it's just somebody that kind of has a body type to be able to handle the beef inside, and then on the outs, but then also is agile and athletic enough to be outside and go against tackles and play tight ends, and then also has the pass rush ability and skill set to rush tackles or guards. So I think it's unique. I'm glad God blessed me to be able to do that, and it's fun. I like doing it. I enjoy it. The versatility is a thing that is a big thing in the league now, so I'm glad by the coaches and all, they see that I got that kind of skill set.
Yeah, we like to ask players about matchups and which matchups are giving them challenges. Brevin Jordan, tight end, said that you're a guy that's very hard to block out there in practice. So let me ask you, who's been a challenge for you in camp so far?
I think probably Laramie and Titus, just as far as rushing on the edge, because it's not just me rushing at 3-tech now. I still got to be able to produce on the edge as a 5 technique. So going against athletic guys like that, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, you was getting interviewed? How you doing, Charles?
How do you think Charles been doing in camp so far, Dunny, since you're here?
Well, first of all, he's been loafing, not off the field. You know what I'm saying? He's been highly disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? To his older elders. You know what I'm saying? He's been loafing. You know what I'm saying? I haven't had no snacks, no anything like it.
I'm not a rookie.
Huh?
I'm not a rookie.
Are you sure about that?
I'm 100% sure.
He's not. You know what I'm saying? I just really miss him as a rookie.
Please get out.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
Get out. And that's a fine, too.
It's not a fine. Okay. Bye,
All right, where were we? Okay, so tackles have been making you better throughout camp. Let's talk about your off-season. I love your off-season work. You're always doing interesting things. I heard that you were doing Pilates this off-season. So how has that helped you and made you better?
Just working on the little muscles that you don't really get to when you just doing the standard weightlifting. Definitely working on my core because that's something I think I had to continue to improve on. Stability, things like that. Just continue to expand my workout regimen. tap into different things in my body so that I can be the best athlete I can be.
Did you do anything else this offseason? Because you sort of knew that you were going to come into a new scheme with Lovey. Did you do anything else to sort of prepare for playing a little slightly different position?
I mean, no, not really, because my first 2 years here, I kind of did the same thing. Played all up and down the line of scrimmage, so it wasn't nothing that I didn't know I was going to do. I knew I was going to play 3 technique, I knew I was going to play 5, I knew I was going to play 6. I've done all those things before, so just continue to sharpen up the knife for me was my biggest thing.
All right, so on Twitter I saw that you tweeted that you wanted to get your hands on the Madden 22 game because you wanted to hand out L's.
Yes.
But then you quote tweeted it with crying emojis, so I don't know if that just didn't go well for you. So
No, I said that I got it because I was looking for it.
Oh, you were happy that you got it.
Yeah, so I got it. So I'm going to go ahead and download that today and kind of get an early start on it.
Okay, so who's the best Madden player on the team?
Me, by far.
Oh, okay. I think we're going to end on that note. Charles, thanks so much for the time.
No problem. Thank you.
There's DP with Charles Amenahu, and I knew that Brandon Dunn was on the show tonight. Told you he photobombed or video bombed that interview. It's also on video on HoustonTexans.com and the Texans app, which you should have. There's no question about that. In fact, if you're a season ticket member, it's all mobile ticketing this year, and it's on your app. Call the Houston Texans ticket office. Log on to HoustonTexans.com for more information. And remember, tickets are available. First home game is the only preseason game at home. That's August 28th against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then you have the opener 2 weeks later against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Sunday, September 12th, high noon. Can't wait. All right, let's get to know Taywan Taylor, wide receiver trying to make an impression. He went to Western Kentucky. You know what their nickname is? The Hilltoppers. What's a Hilltopper?
It's actually our school is placed on top of a hill. So if you look at the top of our school from a skyline view looking down, it's literally directly on top of a hill, and you can see that. So I think that's where the hilltop name originates from, being on top of the hill, and we top the hill off. So I think that's where the whole hilltopper comes into play right there.
When you were at Louisville or lived in Louisville,
Yes,
what made you want to go to Western Kentucky?
Oh, man, when I went on my visit, being from Louisville, I actually didn't know much about Western Kentucky with it being so close to home. And when I took my visit there, great coaches, community was great, the environment. And, I was just blown away being in high school, coming there. I actually played my state championship game at Western Kentucky. So that kind of inspired my decision a little bit. And like I said, the coaches, I had a great visit. My offensive coordinator at the time, Jeff Brom, he came to my house, and that was great. And I think that's really what sealed the deal for me.
What's it like being on a team where you have some former teammates, Browns, Titans? What's that like?
Oh, man, it's great. The camaraderie is great. Like, when I got here, it almost felt like, I was at home. Obviously, it was a blessing to be able to come get a workout from Houston, and for Nick and the coaches to have trust in me, have faith in me to, be able to sign me. And, it just felt like home. The transition was smooth. And ever since I got to OTAs and up to this point, it's been great. So the teammates been great. The vets treat me as one. I just love it.
How is it performing in this particular system for you?
I like this system a lot. The nuances, I think it's kind of similar to, to the past of different places I've been at. We definitely have some moving parts, but it's not too much. You want to be able to challenge yourself day in and day out to get it down. The playbook like the back of your hand, but that's our job at the end of the day. We got to know it day in and day out. We got to know what we got to do. Got to know our assignments for my coaches to be able to trust in me and be able to put me out there and know what to do. So I love the offense right now, and I love how we're progressing.
What about special teams? What's your role like there?
Oh, yeah, special teams is great, too. I try to be involved. Coach Fred, Coach Bake, Coach Frank, Coach Bake, they do a great job with me, trying to keep me involved, trying to get great looks. And, I try to make myself available. That's what this league is all about. Got to make yourself available, and I want to show them, that they can call on me whenever need be. So that's great for me, too.
When you grew up in Louisville, what pro team do you root for?
When I was growing up, back at home, I was actually a Colts fan. Peyton Manning, Joseph Adai, Adrian James, those guys that just went to Hall of Fame. Marvin Harrison, that was my squad. Being so close, I never actually got to catch a game. All those guys, I watched them growing up. They inspired me. I definitely want to get on the field, play football. Dallas Clark, tight end, didn't wear no gloves. So I thought that was crazy, but that was definitely the home team. So we don't have a home team back in Louisville, so
right.
It's kind of hard to root for somebody, but them being so close, that was my squad.
And Adai is from Houston here, so
yeah.
One more for you. Growing up in Louisville, and you're too young, but what is the impression, the feeling, the vibe of Muhammad Ali in the city for a young man like you?
Oh man, it's everything. I think he's the epitome of our city. When you talk about Louisville, when you talk about our hometown, that's the first person you think of, Muhammad Ali. He embodies everything that we try to be, underdog mentality, not going to give up, having that having that determination, dedication, and commitment, and just to be able to keep going, keep persevering. And I think that's what he's all about, He was selfless, he was a champion. I think that's what makes him an icon in today's society. He's one of the pivotal figures in the world, and people think of Muhammad Ali, that's what they think of. He's definitely, like I said, he's definitely a legend in our books back at home.
All right, Taywan, thanks a lot for joining us. Good luck.
Appreciate it, my God. Thank you.
There's Taywan Taylor, super nice guy, hoping for really good things from him. And that's going to do it for the show tonight. Great to have you listening. Thank you, Johnny Harris, and everybody else, Drew and Deepy, contributing to tonight's show. Jimmy Mudd back in the studio. We'll be back tomorrow at 6. Have a great evening, and go Texans.